So I want to invite the next speaker. And we'll talk about the effects of inherent anisotropy on soil steady states and its variability. And so this is represented by Dr. Assadi Langroudi, who I don't think we need to present anymore because he's been on stage virtually every day. So I look forward to listening to your presentation.
Thank you very much for having me. But I'm not going to talk about liquefaction, but I'm not going to hopefully disappoint because it's not going to hurt liquefaction. I'm going to talk about sand, the significance of sand shape, the significance of sand size, and its association with inherent anisotropy, and a couple of lessons that you can get from that. I think I'm going to reaffirm the knowledge that we already know. Having said so, I think it's an interesting problem and worth being revisited many times. Oops, what happened? Can I go back to, oops. Can you help me to go back to the first slide and then it's now working? Thank you. So, in terms of the overview, I think I'm going to start with shape, the significance of shape. I'm going to look into significance of shape from undrained monotonic compression shear perspective, and then move to much more simpler drained monotonic direct shear perspective. Then I think I'm going to talk a little bit about the association of shape and anisotropy in sand, so tie these two up together, and finally finish with some results from some HCT tests. And try to associate confinement with anisotropy in sand, also size with anisotropy with sand. And before I begin, I should have acknowledged the works of Dr. Sohail Ad, who has done the big majority of experiments in the past year or so. So in the next few slides, I'm going to refer to 4 different types of sands, not a lot of names, but this, I think this is far more easier. So we've got sand A and sand B, which are pretty much same size, medium to kind of medium sand. So same size, same sorting, different shapes. Sand B is rounder and more spherical than sand A. Then we've got sand C, which has pretty much similar shape to sand B, but a bit more porous. And sand D, which is porous of all, but share its shape with sand C. I'm going to make reference to these 4 sands in the next few slides. And well, beginning with very simple sets of Seaview triaxial tests. We've got sand A and B, same size, pretty much same particle size distribution, pretty much same sorting, different shape, sand B rounder than sand A. Both sands consolidated to a very high word ratio of 0.8, 1 to 4% fines content, and the only variable here is shape. And as one would expect, not much difference in the stress at phase transformation, but that's not quite USS, but let's accept it as USS, roughly a drop in ultimate state, stress at ultimate steady state. And then looking into the implications of shape from the direct shear perspective, much more simpler. This time I've got my sand D, which is the coarsest of all sands. This is the Western Cape sand, and what I've done is that I've used a simple volume to crush the sand, 7 different grades. You can see 6 of these 7 grades here. I've extracted the 1 to 2 millimeter in diameter particles, and then I've adjusted the PSC to kind of bring all the PSCs in the same shape. So the PSC is identical, the sorting is identical, and the only variable here again is shape. Well, again, compressed to a high word ratio of 0.8, fairly dry, 200 kPa on top, and you can see that the rounder the sand gets, the more you lose the peak and residual strength. Pretty much similar results that we saw in the Seaview case. Now this time, going back to sands A and B, again, B is rounder than A, same size, same mineralogical composition, same sorting. B rounder, this time of mixing sand with silt from that poor sand itself. So crushed with the bone meal and silt sites, quartz, which is mixed between soils, 10 to 50%. On the left-hand side, the stress paths. On the right-hand side, stress and strain. And as one would expect, as the fines content approaches the threshold fines content, and as we tip over the silty behavior rather than sandy behavior, yes, the behavior changes slightly from non-flow to partial flow. The sand basically softens, and that's what expected. But then what is interesting is that the stress path for the rounder sand begins to converge and shows lesser, if you like, variability. So in a sense, what we see is a diminished shape-induced disparity of data, at least in the stress path, hence pretty much an association of shape with inherent and anisotropy. It's something that we already know, but can be seen in these diagrams. On the diagram to the right, you see this very same stress path. The bold lines are pure sand, not mixed with silt. The inner lines are sand mixed with silt, 50% in this case. Now the blue is sand A, the red is sand B, and sand B is rounder. And you can see the distance between the phase transformation, which is kind of narrowing. That gap is narrowing as the sand gets it's rounder. Now, keeping the shape constant and varying the size, this time C is same same original build than A, but also size is same. Again, consolidated to wood ratio of 0.8, Seaview, very sorted. And what you see again, as one would expect, as size increases, you get some gain in your stress at phase transformation and a little drop in ultimate steady state. Again, you should be careful with this USS because this is not quite as strange as that continue to be further down right. And then in one frame, I would like you to look into the two stress paths, the A and B, the blue and the red. And if you see kind of this, if you like, not disparity, but let's say the gap between these two stress paths, you can probably see that, well, the confinement appears to, as the confinement gets lower, it appears to have more substantial, to make the effect of anisotropy more substantial. So confinement also has a role to play. We can look into the very same phenomena from the HCT perspective. So we have this color cylinder machine. I'm going to talk about again two sands, sand A and sand B. Again, same size, B rounder than A. And the principal, well, the angle of principal stress is changed from 15% to 60%, sorry, 16 degrees to 16 degrees. On the left-hand side, you see diagrams which are associated with sand under 200 kPa principal stress, P dash, and then 400 kPa P dash on the right-hand side. B, the intermediate principal stress ratio, is either 0.5 or 1. Now, the diagrams, a lot, the left-hand side, stress and strain, right-hand side, well, the stress parts. The two first columns is referring to soils with P dash of 200, and the right-hand side, soils starting region from P dash of 400. As one would expect, again, as you move from pure compression and mix of compression torsion to pure torsion, your soil softens and get some form of partial turbidity from the flow and soften. Then I brought this data into this simpler diagram. The flow potential index on top plotted against the inclination angle, that's the principal stress inclination angle. On the left-hand side, 200 kPa P dash, and on the right-hand side, 400 kPa. And we've got this little again gap between the trend line of B1 intermediate stress ratio and B 0.5. And you will see that this gap again begins to close down as we move from a lower confinement to a slightly higher confinement. And that kind of ties in with what we saw earlier in the Seaview suite of test results. And that was for sand A, which is angular and same size as B. Now, B, same size as A, this time rounder. The very same effect. Story begins to soften, and you get this strange softening as you get into the pure portion, that's alpha 60 degrees. But more interesting than that, so this is not really changing, but the interesting thing is pretty much in this diagram, we've got the deviatory stress at the phase transformation QT. On the left-hand side, A, and the right-hand side, B. So A is your angular sand, and B is your rounded sand. So you've got the blues, compression, and mix of compression and torsion, and the orange, which is that alpha 60 degrees, which is most possibly pure torsion. That is what I think. And again, when you look into this data, you will see that for these two sands, which have different shape, the stress at phase transformation shows greater disparity, that's sand A, which is less spherical, which is less rounder, basically an angular sand. Again, tying in the concept of shape with inherent anisotropy. Now, something that we know, but it's nice to say it in a couple of diagrams. And this time, keeping the shape constant and varying the size, C is far more coarser than B, basically the coarsest of all sands, not the coarsest, but coarser than B. And you pretty much see the same effect. This time, as size increases, your anisotropy kicks in. And in a way, you can say that the stress at phase transformation at phase here shows greater disparity in your coarser size sand. So, really, it was a short talk, but and really the conclusions that can be drawn here are something that we already know. But probably the most interesting part of it is the last two bullet points. The inherent anisotropy is probably a greater problem for coarser granular matters, at least it appears so. And then the anisotropy possibly will have more substantial implications on the lower confinement levels. That was a very short talk. I hope you don't mind, and we will have more time to.
No, I'm sure there will be some questions. Thanks very much. I think I do like last session, and I asked the speakers